Okay guys, today we're going to have a little fun with that right there. That's a 430 or 462 Lincoln big block from the late 50s and early 60s. And we're going to learn about this. It's actually pretty significant and very interesting. And I know you're going to enjoy this. Okay, we have Will here with 5-Star Engines. Hi,
Yes.
Will.
How you doing, Barry?
Hey, good. So we've got a very unusual story here. Tell me what this engine is right here.
So I wanted to catch you before we put the heads on it.
Yep.
Local shop here brought it to us. It's a customer's motor. This is the one out of the vehicle. It is a 462 Lincoln. So this is from a family that had multiple cubic inch sizes. This one's in a Continental. Big heavy boat. This one's 462 cubic inches.
Wow.
Interesting thing about this one is similar to the 348 409 series. The combustion chamber is in the deck of the block.
Yeah, to catch the wedge on that, that's not an optical illusion. That is in. Yes, what a wedged angle.
Yeah, exactly. So the piston and deck are not completely parallel as far as center lines go.
Yep.
And then that makes the cylinder head flat. Flat like a diesel.
Yeah.
But unlike a diesel that has the combustion chamber generally in the piston, this one's actually built into the deck. Okay,
so it's kind of obvious if you've seen the W engine, the 348 409. This has some similarity to it.
Absolutely.
So do you know when that series and this series, when they started?
As far as years go, they're around the same years, so they do cross over at some point. Now I don't recall offhand which one started first, but I know I want to say these ones have a little bit more cubic inches compared, obviously 462.
Yeah.
The W engines only went to about 409.
Yeah.
I think 427, maybe one out there, but might have been like a mystery motor.
That's that mystery motor we
exactly.
hear about.
But yeah, so these ones, like I said, powered heavy vehicles.
So this was a really big bore as far as ratio goes, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. The bore and stroke ratio on these are big just to get the cubic inch size that you need. Okay,
and so do you recall what model lines of cars had the series of engines?
Yeah, the MEL line was Mercury-Edsel-Lincoln. Okay. So it would have come in a variety of those, luxury line cars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I said, this one's in a Lincoln Continental. Could be a convertible. Could be suicide doors.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's generally what they came in.
It's going to be a big, heavy car.
Exactly. Yeah. And then, surprisingly enough, parts availability is still decent on these ones.
Okay.
Not to say that you don't have to scrounge around to find them, but they are still making parts.
What are some of the things to pay attention to when you're building one of these things?
All right, so obviously with the combustion chamber being in the deck, you have to have a specialized piston ring compressor to install it without catching that lip, because there is a lip, and depending on how much you go overboard, there's a lip right here.
Oh,
that if you don't
even catch that before.
If you don't catch the or if you don't compress the rings far enough, it can catch and break rings. Generally, when we build these, I order a couple sets of rings because you never know what's going to happen.
So it's not just that you're going in at an angle; you also got a lip inside the angle.
And some of the the 348 409 engines, they actually have a bigger step.
Yeah.
That's how they cut them out differently for different combustion chamber sizes on those blocks.
Okay.
The other thing too is, I know Ed's mentioned water diverters and other blocks.
Yeah.
These ones come with generally a stamped steel tile water diverter.
Right, and that's going to corrode.
Yeah, and that's going to corrode. Generally, we see they get destroyed or corroded, and that actually will allow water to just circulate here and not fully go through the engine.
So can you point out how the water goes with the water pump?
It would go through the block, back up to the back of the head, fully forward through the head, and then back through this diverter, back into the water pump and out.
Okay.
Like I said, we have to replace these ones, and these ones are aluminum ones that we buy on eBay. And you have to custom fit these to the block. They do take some trimming, but that's the best replacement for them.
Okay, and unlike the old flathead, even though there's 2 inlets and outlets, you only have 1 water pump.
That's it.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Well, that's pretty cool. I want to look at this head one more time. I guess the rest of this is pretty typical.
Pretty typical for the time and age. This one takes a rocker staff style assembly.
Okay.
Let me put a rag down real quick.
Yep. We don't want to hurt anything.
Piece of cardboard and a rag will do. Generally, we keep these benches pretty clean, so you don't have to worry about scratching it.
That's right.
But these are reconditioned rocker shafts off the actual motor.
Okay.
So we redo the faces, polish the shafts on it. But this would be similar to FE line.
Okay.
So very similar ratio, sizes wise, to like 390, 352 series FE motor.
Really?
So they take a rocker shaft assembly.
Yeah, because everybody's heard of the 390. That's so quite common.
Exactly. Yep.
Huh. That's pretty cool. Well, maybe we'll have a quick peek at that dirty intake manifold just to see how
absolutely.
that works.
We can do that. I don't have a water pump per se. Let me grab. So let's put this one.
That is a big monster, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So this would be the intake off of it. Funny enough, back in the day, they just put the firing order there because you would probably be doing service on your own. Nowadays, you generally don't do that.
Right.
So if you needed to change spark plugs, wires, pull them off, put them back on there, they number the cylinders on the runners.
Oh, that's really nice.
And then give you the firing order. But yeah, this is the cast iron intake manifold off of it. It's not light by any means, but it is a 4-barrel setup.
It is, for sure. And they're all the same size. Looks like. Well, maybe not. These are bigger, aren't they?
And it might look, it might be an optical illusion.
Yeah. Okay.
Generally, they keep them, spread boards are generally the same.
Yeah. Okay.
On this one, this would probably go through the same process as our blocks. We would burn it in an oven, steel shot blast it, and then clean it and give it back to the customer.
Okay.
We can also Magnaflux these too to make sure there's no cracks.
Is that on the list? Are you going to be processing this intake or not?
Eventually, yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, that is a big monster, and is that also a
thermostat housing? Yeah, thermostat housing.
So the coolant gets to the manifold also.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, it needs a little cleaning up. I hate to tell you, Will.
Add it to the list.
Well, thank you. That's pretty cool. How do you deal with such a weird angle like that?
Well, that's like the 409, 348 cars.
Right.
We're like this, and it takes a ring compressor to get this to go in there. And we used aluminum can again.
Okay.
To get the rings to go over here. So you get through the step. The step's a little bit different than the Chevy step.
It is a different thing.
It is a different step, yeah.
Yeah, but it's interesting that the 348 and the 430 both had this design. They both came out in '58.
Yeah, right.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
So there must have been some talk going on back then.
Somewhere, yeah.
And people were kind of figuring that out. And of course, it didn't last forever. But these engines apparently stayed through '68. It was '69 that the
with these truck motors. And so it's really weird with the divider here. They put it here for oil and things and separate the. And the oil tube is up to the center here, exposed a little bit. With the freeze plugs in it. The oil's the lifters.
Okay.
See where the oil got went to the lifters, or then oil the lifters. This hole here is drilled in here, went all the way down the oil galley into the cam. See?
Oh.
That's just to plug the oil, the drill holes.
Okay. Yeah, they had to drill it and then they had to plug it.
Plug it, yeah.
And this was for, what was this keeping?
Oil. So oil dissection from the distributor here and stuff.
Oh.
Yeah, deflection, yeah.
Now, but the water didn't come in.
No, there's no water whatsoever, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's definitely different looking.
Yeah.
Love to see a water pump for this.
Yeah.
I'd love to see how that works.
Must be huge.
It must be big, yeah.
Yeah.
I have to see if I can find a picture of the water pump somewhere.
Yeah.
Huh.
Look at that motor there.
Thanks for being a part of Barry T's Garage. And if you want some Ed Smith memorabilia, some hats and shirts and all, it's just EdSmithSpeed.Shop. Head over there and have a look.